So the entire cryptocurrency market is in a time of uncertainty right now, and I can't tell you how many predictions I have seen on both sides of the extreme. I mean, it's either Bitcoin's headed to $100,000 by the end of this year, or Bitcoin is imminently about to fall to the teens again, around $18,000 or $19,000. But what I want to do in this video is show you what is truly happening behind the scenes of cryptocurrency, walk you through what's happening on the charts, walk you through the growth and the support that I'm seeing on both Bitcoin as well as the entire altcoin chart, and walk through some of the news as well, because there's a lot of really strong fundamental news that is just being overlooked and overshadowed in everything else that's happening right now. So if you are interested in this, make sure you stick around for the entire length of the video, as there will be important information discussed the entire way through. And if you're new here, welcome back to the Crypto Analyst channel. My name is Brendan, and this is your one-stop shop for everything cryptocurrency and blockchain related. So with Bitcoin right now, I want to zoom us out and actually switch this over to a 3-day chart so that we can see just where we are at with cryptocurrency. Now, I made a video a couple of days ago, it was actually just last week, talking about how this could just be one massive bear trap for crypto as a whole, especially with Bitcoin and a lot of these altcoins. But as we approach this, we can see that Bitcoin has a really nice and solid support level that we have tested here, and it's been a pretty consistent and methodical movement from support to resistance to support to resistance back to support, which we are testing multiple times over here, just like we did the previous time. And I can't help but think that the closer that we get to these support levels, the more bullish that I actually get on Bitcoin as a whole. Now, as most of us know and understand, if Bitcoin is moving upwards, most of the altcoins are actually going to go ahead and follow it as well. So if we go over to what's happening on the altcoin chart, we would expect to see some sort of a reflection of this, which is in fact exactly what we would see. And I would argue that this altcoin chart is actually more bullish than the Bitcoin chart for two reasons. Number one, we have the daily support, which is longer lasting than what we're seeing on Bitcoin. It has more touch points, it's been around longer, it's been used more consistently, and you can't see it right now, so I'm going to switch it over to the 3-day. But what I want to hide, or not really hide, but show rather, is, without myself blocking it, is that we have used this a number of times, right? We came up, we tested this support line for the first time around February of 2021. I guess you could even argue January, but we tested this here, and then again, and then again, and then again, and again on this way upwards. And so we're not only seeing a very similar movement to Bitcoin and saying that we're going from support to resistance, from support to resistance, from support to resistance, and so on and so forth, but the main difference over here is that with the altcoins and most of the altcoins, and what I'm looking at right now is just the entirety of the altcoin market cap as represented on the total 2 chart. If we switch this back to the daily, and we also switch Bitcoin back to the daily, one of the things I want to point your attention to is the 50-day moving average, which is this orange line. Now, the thing that you're going to be able to see is that Bitcoin is actually closing below this and rejecting this area right over in here, and I want to zoom in just a little bit more. But Bitcoin is actually rejecting this and closing in just below this area, and we actually have a wick touching this and rejecting this, whereas the altcoins, on the other hand, are breaking above this area, and they are closing above this, and we have a wick going down to this 50-day moving average support on the daily time scale, and actually bouncing off of this. Now, this is why I think a lot of these altcoins are running. You know, altcoins are having a little bit more of an alt season right now than Bitcoin is. Now, something to note here is that altcoins are more volatile than Bitcoin. When cryptos fall, Bitcoin may fall 5%, altcoins could fall 7, 8, 9, even 15%, depending on the size of their market cap. So with cryptocurrency as a whole still being in an uptrend, again, the closer that we get to support, the fundamentals haven't changed. Again, I understand that there's a war and interest rate hikes and disease, and everything that could be happening is happening right now. But I think you have to understand that despite all that happening, Bitcoin didn't break $30,000. And as some of this stuff is seemingly, I guess you could argue that some of the worst of it is behind us, and this is already accounted for, I can't help but be bullish on cryptocurrency at this point. Now, on the news side of things, we have lots of stuff happening. Australia actually just came out and said that they are going to be having their first Bitcoin ETF listed as early as next week. So this could be big. You know, if Australia is planning on launching their first Bitcoin ETF, could this lead for adoption in like-minded countries? Could there be more ETFs to pop up in Australia? Does this mean that more first world countries are going to be expanding into cryptocurrency ETFs? And I think that this is what we're starting to see. Again, I explained this years ago, but we see adoption happen in third world countries first, then second world countries, then first world countries. We are starting to see the turning point, where first world countries are naturally adopting cryptocurrency because of the value that it's bringing and the size that this market is reaching. Now, on top of this, Terra Luna's stablecoin is now the third largest stablecoin by market cap after Terra rallied almost 17% the other day. Terra Luna has been on an absolute tear. A lot of this is because they are creating a stablecoin and also a Bitcoin reserve that is going to go up to around $10 billion in Bitcoin. So they are just massively purchasing Bitcoin, and they want to be one of the largest Bitcoin wallet holders so that they can have a reserve of Bitcoin should they ever need it and help back their stablecoin and their entire ecosystem, which is huge. I mean, very few other cryptocurrencies are trying to do something to the scale of owning $10 billion in Bitcoin so that they can help support their own ecosystem and economy. And I believe the cryptocurrency that they took over here was actually Binance USD, otherwise known as BUSD, but they are just on the move right now. There was one other area, I think this is the article I want to talk about. So, cryptocurrency users are rising rapidly, and I want to talk about this guy in just a second. But going back to the charts of what I was talking about earlier, if you guys want to get all of my technical analysis and all of my crypto analysis in more detail, and you want to get it a whole lot more often and early, there's a group in the description down below called Crypt Nation. Definitely go and check that out if you like what I have to offer. Again, you get everything that I'm going to talk about technically early over there. You also get to see me talk about more of the altcoin charts, and you have direct access to ask me any kind of a question as well. So if you like the kind of technical analysis that I do and the way that I walk through charts, I know that you're gonna like the Crypt Nation group as well. And again, you can ask me any of your kind of questions over there. So if you're like, hey, what do you think about this? Have you looked at this chart lately? You have access to me through that Crypt Nation group. Now, back to what's happening in the news over here. 3.6 million Americans are set to use cryptos to make purchases in the course of 2022 from this research firm. And so analysts from Insider Intelligence believe that cryptocurrency's transactional value will increase by 70% this year. And that is rapid. I mean, that is truly a massive growth in cryptocurrency. So this is what I mean, that despite the price of cryptos falling, nothing has fundamentally changed or gotten worse about what's happening in cryptocurrency. Instead, it's very much the opposite. I mean, the fundamentals are rapidly growing. We have stable coins and entire ecosystems being backed by billions of dollars in Bitcoin. We have first world countries adopting cryptocurrency like we have never seen before. We have millions of new users in North America and inside of the United States set to make cryptocurrency payments to send cryptocurrency payments to an all-time high. We have different kinds like Silvergate and Apple and other crypto people that are looking into the world of cryptocurrency. And so, despite everything that is happening behind the scenes, cryptocurrency is falling, but the values and the fundamentals are increasing rapidly, and this is just sheer proof of this. So, with this addition over here, this is big news. The firm also predicted that by the end of 2022, US adults who are crypto users will US adults who are crypto users will increase to 33.7 million, which is rapid. Imagine if 33.7 million people inside of the United States were actively making cryptocurrency transactions. Again, this space is set to grow. Whether it will grow at a rate of 70% or maybe less than that at 50%, even if it grows at 35%, half of that, I would still argue that that's a pretty good growth trend, rather. So the space is expected to continue to grow beyond this to 37.2 million Americans by the end of 2023, and the charts are all just looking good over here. So if you're interested in this, quite the cool statistic. Again, showing that cryptocurrency use case for your everyday purpose is growing, and growing rapidly. Now, beyond the news, we also have Silvergate Capital thinking that they may expand into Bitcoin lending programs. Following this and their earnings report, their shares went up about 13%. And something that I found unique is that last month, Silvergate made a $205 million Bitcoin-backed loan to MicroStrategy. So they already are beginning to dabble. If you don't know who MicroStrategy and Michael Saylor are, they are one of the largest holders of Bitcoin. So this could be big news. And again, this just shows that large institutions, large names, large brands are getting into cryptocurrency, and there are more of them thinking about this every single day. Now, in unfortunate news, there was 2 hacks and or exploits over the course of this last week. Number one is if you had an Apple iPhone and you had your iCloud on certain settings, your cryptocurrencies, or rather your cryptocurrency wallet passwords were, and if I believe this correctly, were being backed up on the Apple iCloud. And from this, people were able to hack in and get a hold of cryptocurrencies, of their cryptocurrency wallet information. And one user lost up to $650,000. And in other news, Beanstalk had a pretty unique exploit in the sense that I'm not sure I've seen an exploit like this happen before. Maybe it has, and it's just I'm forgetting and it slipped over my head. But what happened over here was someone actually took out a flash loan to get enough of Beanstalk's ownership so that they could dominate the ecosystem. And they actually ended up withdrawing about $180 million within seconds, which turned out to be about 138 million euros, I believe. And so this was actually a pretty cool ecosystem, pretty unique ecosystem, but an unfortunate hack nonetheless of someone using flash loans in a negative way. And there have been a lot of different discussions about flash loans. If you guys don't remember, back just a couple of months ago, there was the ApeCoin drop, where if you owned one of the different Bored Ape NFTs, you were going to get essentially free ApeCoin. You know, I say free, quote unquote, because you had to get the extremely expensive NFT in the first place, but once you had that NFT, you could then claim thousands or tens of thousands of dollars in ApeCoin. And so someone used a flash loan back then to flash loan himself enough crypto to get a hold of several different Bored Apes, which he then claimed all the tokens for all of those Bored Apes before immediately returning them right back, all within a single transaction, so that he could claim all the ape coins through a flash loan. Again, is that bad? I wouldn't say so. This is an example of taking flash loans a step further, to where he was using a large flash loan to get a hold of an ecosystem, to get about 51% control, and then doing what he pleased from there. In this case, that was taking about $180 million in cryptocurrency out of the Beanstalk ecosystem. So there are still kinks to be worked out and how some of this stuff can work, but the fundamentals here are growing rapidly, right? You know, again, this is happening with some smaller chains, with some smaller ecosystems, and for people who are trying to use centralized devices and centralized storage for decentralized assets. And that's where the problem really comes, is that when you're trying to use things like the Apple iCloud for your cryptocurrency wallet, you are asking for trouble because, and I understand, you know, it sucks, but you are storing decentralized information on a centralized source, which people still can easily get access to. And maybe, you know, that'll be a whole separate topic for another video, right? You know, I actually had to do a report on that just it was about maybe a year or two ago, talking about how decentralized and centralized storage systems works and the differences in security of them all. But as we press on over here, again, the cryptocurrency market is looking good. I can't stress this enough, that the closer to that we get to macro support levels, the more bullish that I really do get on cryptocurrency. I just don't see the fundamentals showing enough bearish signs I think that there are technicals, there are fundamentals, there are on-chain analytics showing that the cryptocurrency market isn't as weak as everyone says it's going to be. Do I think cryptos, and Bitcoin specifically, headed down into the teens again? I don't. I really just don't see that as a possibility for crypto. Or rather, I don't think it is probable. It's definitely possible. I just don't think it's probable. I think that cryptocurrency markets are really just in a giant bear trap here. And while we are rejecting the 50 EMA, we still are above all of our major supports. And until we break those, I'm really not that bearish on crypto across the board. Yes, it's a time of uncertainty. Yes, it's a time of chop. But that doesn't mean that crypto is in the worst of places nonetheless. Maybe it's a no trade zone, but there are things that I'm still learning in cryptocurrency at this point, and tons of different cryptos that I plan to accumulate. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up the video here. If you did enjoy this video, definitely consider hitting that subscribe and that like button. It really does help this channel out a lot and help this video get pushed out to more people. And if you have someone that might need to hear this kind of information, definitely consider sharing the video and sending this off to them as well, so that we can continue to expand the community to as many people as possible. But that being said, once again, thank you all for watching, and I will see you all in the next video.